A warm welcome to you wherever it is you joining us and reaching us from around the world. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry.
And I'm Choma Okoye.
All right, we'll be kicking off today with all that we have from our newspaper headlines and all the papers from our desk this morning. And right after that will be our main conversation also for today. But please do well to be part of our community. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV S7. We have today, very honored to have with us today in the studios Mr. Mojid Jamiu. He is the Executive Director of Upshot Media. Good morning, Mr. Jamiu.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate you. All right, Choma, let's kickstart today with the first daily on our desk.
And we're starting with the Punch newspaper. On the top strip, you have AGF to meet Senate panel on tax reform bills today. Details of the particular story are on page 29.
All right, still on the top strip here, we have cash scarcity. OPS faults CBN's limit on POS withdrawal.
Okay, moving on, PSA promotes over 8,000 police officers. Details are on page 26.
All right, we equally have on the bottom strip here, a gridlock grounds Lagos Ibadan expressway driver dies in crash.
Okay, without wasting much time, let's get into our topic of discussion, and that is the big story on the front page of the Punch on the Ibadan Funfair tragedy. Oni's ex-wife, others face probe as 32 children feared killed. Just a rider to the particular story, UCH. 2 others confirmed 16 deaths. Makinde vows justice, sympathize with parents. Mr. Jamiu rather, looking at this particular story, Makinde saying he is going to bring about justice for the dead children, and it was a fun fair that actually went haywire and we lost children. What is the best way for Makinde to actually handle this case, and looking at how it went, how best can this be handled without the owner's wife facing any trial and the family of the children pacified?
It's a serious tragedy at this time of the year, and I want to commiserate with the parents who lost their kids in this tragic incident. Basically, that's where safety comes into play. In Lagos and some other states, before you hold the gathering of that event, you involve the safety commission. They come there and comb the area and look at a lot of safety options, and look at exit routes and stuff like that. Probably these were not put in place. I think the governor should ensure that holding such events in future in Oyo State. I mean, 16 lives were lost, at least in from the reports we have. Should ensure that safety precautions are put in place for where we'll have such massive gatherings, especially when they know that some freebies will be given out. Gifts. These gifts attract a lot of people. The intention of the Olori was to, put smiles on the faces of children, but then it has turned into a disaster. It's rather unfortunate, but the governor should ensure that the culprits who maybe neglected their, in some instances you see security agents who are supposed to be guarding those children and monitoring them will be the ones even scampering
for food.
For the free gifts. So, and all might let loose.
Yeah, very well.
Yeah.
So of course we commiserate with the people of Ibadan and the parents most importantly. But can we hold this to failure of leadership in Nigeria, not just in Ibadan, but in the entirety of Nigeria? I remember when growing up in the 80s, there were lots of parks all over the place. The state has more than enough parks for everyone to go around. But now we hardly see parks. All the available parks are turned to estates by those in authority. In fact, it has gotten so worse that some primary schools now are converted to estates. Now, do you think this will be stopped in the near future when we have limited number of parks where children could go have a fun time? Because I want to believe if the space was big enough, we wouldn't have had this stampede.
Well, I won't say it's a failure of leadership per se. I mean, things like this do happen. Recall when Ashake played in UK at the time, O2 Arena. I mean, there was a stampede. I mean, when you have more people in probably a place that should accommodate about 1,000 people, you have more than 5,000 parked there. I mean, there's every high possibility that there could be stampede because most people, when they finish an event, everybody wants to go out at the same time. It happens during football matches too and stuff like that. So it's just to take precaution. I mean, it's not a function of leadership. Okay. It's something that is in us. You see people rushing to enter a bus. I mean, they also want to rush to get out. And in that process, there could be stampede and some people could get injured. So I think people should naturally ensure that they take time in doing things and do things orderly.
All right.
Orderly manner.
All right, thank you.
Some of these things.
Beautiful. So let's kickstart the Vanguard newspaper, which we have on our desk here. And we have on the top strip here, Nigeria's $42 billion external reserve can finance 9 months import. That's coming from the CBN.
Okay, moving on. We agreed on sale of 20% stake at $2.76 billion. That is coming from Dangote Refinery.
And also we have federal government plans to improve power supply with $750 million World Bank loan.
Okay, moving on. Council Chairman Ford suspension by Edo House of Assembly. Details are on page 12.
All right, but let's take a look at our talking point here. Tax reform bill. Those who don't understand bills are loudest critics, and that's coming from Akpabio. I would love to ask you, as much as we, of course, won't want to hold brief for Akpabio, don't you think he is his loquacious nature of being so impulsive in saying things that he would end up regretting could be a very big problem and not leadership worthy at this particular point? Rather than making those who criticize the tax bill give them more reasons to understand what the content is, he's rather being loquacious.
Yeah, Akpabio in his nature, he talks, he jokes with a lot of things, and as a Senate President, I don't think he should be trivializing issues. He should talk less. I mean, look at the incident of when they wanted to say that some monies have been sent to the lawmakers for their leave allowances or whatever. I mean, he got it twisted, and he ended up saying, I mean, the prayers have been sent to your emails. So I think he should be more circumspect in the way he speaks on critical issues like this. The tax reform bill is a very sensitive issue. I mean, it shouldn't make it sound as if whether Nigerians like it or not, they're going to force it on our throats. That's the way it seems to be sounding. But then, if you look at the tax reform bill critically, it's something that on the long run might be beneficial to most Nigerians because it tends to move more people into the tax net and bring more wealthier people, more high net worth individuals into the tax nets. I mean, one critical area of the tax reform bill is the fact that if you own a business now where you earn less than 25 million a year, you'll be off the tax net. Well, I mean, you are not taxable until you are able to grow your business to 50 million, which is a very positive one. And it tends to harmonize about 16 different taxes that we pay all into one. For instance, if you pay your tax in Lagos now, if you want to buy a property in, say, Akwa Ibom or Imo States, they will require, under the present situation, they will require you to come and start pay another tax in Imo or Anambra or what have you. But under the new tax reform, I mean, if it's passed into law, it is one tax identity. The moment they know you have paid your tax, whether you are in Ekiti State or Lagos or Anambra or Bauchi, you can present it anywhere, and that's what obtains all over the world.
So the proliferation of taxes would come to an end. Beautiful.
Okay, now in a country where we lack data and Nigerians always have a shortcut to bypass some necessary bills they are supposed to pay, how do we see this tax reform seeing the light of day? And secondly, talking about the Northerners who are most times who have been standing and agitating against this tax reform bill, can we say the leaders we have are thinkers and not just takers?
Well, and when you talk about the Northerners now, I think we need to qualify it. We've seen somebody like Sheikh Gumi, who is expected to talk against the tax bill. I mean, is in support of it, and also Sheikh Sani, former Speaker of the House of Reps, Dugara. They are all canvassing for the tax reform. Rather, they are telling their elites in the north to not to speak for everybody, but rather look critically. So most of them have not even read the bill, but because it has to do with taxes, they believe that it is only VAT that is involved, and that is going to take a lot of VAT away from them and put the VAT in Lagos. So, I mean, that's the misunderstanding most people have about it. And talking in terms of data and what have you, with the margin of NIN, that's the national identification number, and your BVN now, and also the NCC and the NIMS in Nigeria Identity Management System, they are in collaboration now, even with the Central Bank of Nigeria, whereby a simple click on your name and date of birth now, just as it obtains in other countries of the world, everything about you will come out. So, and the moment you have a tax identification number, if they click your name and put your TIN, everywhere where you have a bank account will come out. So they are coming up with that, and they are improving on it. And also, I see it as a way of bringing in more people into the tax net, and also, but in terms of data, I mean, that's an area we still need to build on. Yeah.
All right, finally, we have the want of time. Let's just go straight to our talking point on the Daily Trust newspaper, and that is on the bottom strip here. Victims cry out as FCTA demolishes 20,432 structures. And we have a couple of riders here. Natives threaten to go spiritual. Lawyers seek adequate compensation notices and no going back on exercise, and that's coming from Yeson Wike. Mr. Jamu, I love you to please talk about this. We understand that Abuja should be one of the most structured city across Africa. But of course, when we talk about failure of leadership, it still boils down to the same thing. When structures and plans been made for where residents should be, commercials would, and so on and so forth, the same leaders in authority allow for structures to be built where they are not supposed to be built. At the end of the day, someone comes and clears everything. When and how can we get this right?
Yeah, you see, you need someone like Wike to deal with Abuja was well planned, and recall that El-Rufai at the time did a similar thing in Abuja, although that backfired. I mean, there were a lot of insinuations about him taking over some people's properties and what have you, allegedly. But with Wike now, the case that comes into mind is the case of a particular estate which was said to have been occupied for about 40 years by a retired Air Force member also, for I can't quite speak the name now, a large expanse of land. Now, there has been hues and cries about it until the minister came with his own side of the story that plot, I mean, that's, I think about 10 hectares of land was allocated to that individual for the purpose of, was on lease for the purpose of construction. And over a year ago was given the right of first refusal to occupy that. If, I mean, there has been some reports about the wife of the owner coming on national television to claim that the minister want to forcefully take over the land. But, I mean, the minister said they should bring CFO of the land or any document that shows that they own the land. They couldn't produce it. So some of these things, yes, the minister is demolishing, but I think when we do our investigations properly, we'll see that some of these people are just crying without any substance. I've been to Abuja in the last couple of months, and I've seen a lot of development, a lot of improvement in terms of infrastructure development under Wiki. I'm not a supporter, but then it's been a good job. And up to now, I mean, you can't just occupy government land without paying for it. You are given a right of first refusal to pay for it for more than a year. You didn't pay for it. When the government offers it for sale, you start shouting. That's that's my view on that.
Okay, if he can, they were given a notice and they were not able to meet up, and now the property has been given to someone else because someone else is to take over because the person paid the amount of money they were asked to pay and they couldn't pay. Now, is the right way to go about this? At least there should be a grace period, looking at the investment of people, because at the end of the day, it is not only the Paulina man, the woman that will be affected. There are other innocent Nigerians that will be affected just by one mistake she made. Is that not supposed to be in place? Or should we say, because the person that was given the property is one of Wiki's ally, is that the right way to go about it?
You see, a law is a law, and the law does not, I mean, they, like I said earlier, they were given 1 year to come up with a payment plan, to even show interest, to show that, yes, I mean, they were claiming that they owned the land in the first instance, but when they brought out, they told them to bring documents to show that they owned the land, they couldn't produce. They said it's the same way, the same portion of land were allocated to others for construction purposes, and those others took the advantage and paid for their own. But the woman you mentioned now, the Paulina family, I mean, refused to pay for their own after a year. But government cannot leave the land perpetually, and they have been serving them notices of coming with, I mean, taking up that opportunity to come and pay for it. So it's neither here nor there, but at first I thought the woman was being, was being bullied, so to say. But when I heard the other side of the story, I mean, since then, she has not been able to come up with any superior argument.
Okay, thank you so much.
Let's see how that goes. That is just one case. Let's not forget the Julius Baja purse of land that was taken away by Yeltsin Wiki and given to judges for the building of construction of houses and all. Well, that matter is still with the courts, and let's see how that goes. But thank you so very much, sir. We truly do appreciate you. And just to let you know that he will be here to take us on our main conversation. Please don't go anywhere.
And when we return, President Bola Tinubu unveils 47.9 trillion Naira 2025 budget, promising economic restoration and prosperity under his renewed hope agenda. We'll be right back. To stay with us.